Hello and welcome to WMLT News. I'm Courtney Vanatter.
And I'm Richard Babbage. With so many recent gun-related incidents occurring, are we prepared?
Scenes like this are occurring more and more in our country. Every student's, every parent's nightmare. According to the website, stateuniversity.com, Concord University has been the second safest campus in the state for the past 2 years. But are they prepared to respond to a shooter on campus? I spoke with university officials and learned that Concord has adopted the ALICE program, developed by Response Options, an incident response training company located near Fort Worth, Texas. ALICE stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, Escape.
Training people in what's called, the ALICE approach to an active shooter. In other words, even training faculty and administrators and students about how to respond to an active shooter. For years, the thought was to drive everybody into rooms and try to lock them in there. And what we found, unfortunately, over the years is that doesn't work.
Concord also has 200 security cameras that are regularly monitored with more installations planned. The cameras support Concord's 7-member police force, who are equipped and trained to respond in 3 minutes to all emergencies, including a shooter on campus.
The old school way back in the day was to set and contain and wait for a SWAT team or a SET team, as it's called in some other areas, special response teams, SRT teams. Now, we are actively trained to, again, engage the threat. If it's one of us, 2 of us, or 3 of us, we are to meet at a specific spot that, it's in our plans, and we are to enter the building or the area of where the threat is, and again, engage that threat and try to terminate that threat.
There are still some improvements that are needed, such as office doors that lock from the inside and reinforced window glass. Some areas do not have security cameras because the people who use those areas do not want to be watched. School officials agree that an open campus can never be 100% prepared for a shooter. There are just too many variables to consider, especially in a free society. However, with the plans that have been made and constant vigilance, Concord has created a safer environment. I'm Brian Allen with WMLT News, Athens.
Thanks, Brian. A Bluefield police cruiser was set ablaze. Here's Jared Klein with the story.
In the early morning hours of February 15th, Bluefield police witnessed the unthinkable. Patrolman J.W. Murray was on duty at the time when a mysterious light near a backup cruiser was brought to his attention by a dispatcher.
There was a light that looked like glowing up under it, or on top of it, around in the front end area.
Police said they came out at night to find a fire starting under one of their patrol cars.
Before Murray could inspect the cruiser, it was engulfed in flames. These pictures, courtesy of WVVA, shows the destruction. Police say they found an accelerant, something intended to make the fire worse, poured on top of the cruiser with a trail that stretched to Mercer Street. Murray says that the Bluefield police are taking the crime as a threat.
Anytime someone directly attacks the police in that manner is very serious, and especially in our own parking lot.
Murray also commented on the rarity of the crime, saying it's not usual for the area.
In this area, there's a lot of people that don't like the police. They might flip us off as we go by. They might cuss at us. Have to tussle around a little bit, but not generally. If you ask any one of those same people, did you set our cruiser on fire? And they're going to be, oh no. We wouldn't do that.
The people of Bluefield are sharing this sense of shock. Daryl Kinder, who works at Grants less than a block down the road from the police station, was surprised by the event.
You would never expect something like this in this little town.
Murray is also bothered that the event took place on their own back step and believes there is a frightening message being sent.
Hey, I'm here, and and it doesn't bother me to come to your house and get you.
As of Monday, police are continuing to review surveillance and have some leads at a possible suspect. If you know of any possible leads, you are asked to call the Bluefield Police Department at 304-327-6101. Reporting in Bluefield, I'm Jared Klein, WMLT News.
A doctor and his wife were found shot to death in their Cross Lanes home Monday evening. Dr. Bruce and Marlise Foster were both in their early 60s. Bruce Foster's co-worker found the couple dead after driving to their home because Bruce hadn't shown up for work that day. Bruce Foster was chairman of ethics at Thomas Memorial Hospital and worked with the West Virginia Center for the End of Life Care. He also wrote a book, Death and Dying or Can You Love Me Enough to Let Me Go. Sheriff deputies believe the two were killed in a murder-suicide and have no further suspects at this point. West Virginia State Police have confirmed that an adult and a 3-year-old female, are dead after a single car accident on Stonehouse Road in Lewisburg. The adult was killed on impact and the child passed away not long after. A friend of the family said the deaths are those of Rosetta and Whit Ann and 3-year-old Shaylin Morris. State Trooper Phillips says 2 others were flown to a hospital in Roanoke with major injuries but are stable, and 1 more was transported to Greenbrier Valley Medical Center. Police say, quote, speed was a factor, end quote. The crash is still being investigated.
Another star of the Buck Wild Show has been charged, this time with aggravated DUI. Michael Burford was arrested on February 15th by Charleston police. This is the second case of a Buck Wild star being arrested. Salwa Amin was arrested earlier this month on drug charges. A West Virginia law is proposing expanding drug testing for minors who are trying to receive a driving permit or license. This comes after Governor Earl Tomblin mandated drug testing for anyone participated in government-funded job training. Other proposals in the House include drug testing for welfare recipients and coal miners. Stay tuned for more news after this break.
Welcome back to WMLT News. Mother Brandy Smallwood and stepfather James Green both waived their rights to a preliminary hearing in exchange for open file discovery. Both were charged Tuesday for the death of a 2-year-old Graydon Morgan. The child died at Charleston Hospital on February 9th after suffering trauma at a home in the Fairdale community while in the care of Green. The criminal complaint against Green states the child's life-ending injuries were consistent with being grabbed, squeezed, shaken, and punched. Smallwood is being charged with child neglect resulting in death, and Green is charged with first-degree murder and the death of the 2-year-old. The West Virginia Senate Transportation Committee members approved a bill on Tuesday that would make not wearing a seatbelt a primary traffic offense. If the bill were to become a law, it would qualify an additional $1 million a year of federal highway safety funding. The bill would also require passengers to wear seatbelts. The committee also increased the possible fine to $25 per violation to comply with the minimum fine under federal highway standards. The bill has been introduced numerous times in the past few years. The bill still has to go through the Senate Judiciary Committee before it goes before the full Senate.
2 Republicans asked to be removed on Tuesday as sponsors of a new bill that would ban the sale of sweetened soft drinks in West Virginia public schools. One is Senate Minority Leader Mike Hall, and the other is Senator David Nohe. Both were among 10 sponsors of the bill, and both represented the Republican Party's stance on the issue. The bill would repeal prior legislation of the past decade that was intended to promote a healthier alternative in public school systems, yet had unexpected results, one of which being the allowed sale of soft drinks in schools. Both the House and the Senate Health Committees endorsed the bill in January interim meetings. Minority Leader Hall says his withdrawal as a sponsor was procedural, saying that he wants to study the bill more before he decides to give his support. Now with Ticket or Leave It, here's Chad Brown.
Thanks, Richard. Finally, it seems that couples all over America can shout for joy and sigh with relief when it comes to what to watch together. A chick flick and a zombie movie have at last found an agreeable happy medium in the new film Warm Bodies. Warm Bodies tells the tale of the reluctant zombie, only known as R, who longs to feel and be human once again, instead of feasting on brains every day. His feelings begin returning to him when he encounters a beautiful human survivor by the name of Julie, who at first is not too thrilled about his company. The two trek across the zombie-infested metropolis to bring Julie safely back to the survivor's outpost while avoiding the completely dehumanized walking skeletons known only as bonies. The movie has enough heartbreaking and fluttering moments to satisfy chick flick fans and enough action and, of course, zombies to keep the thrill seekers' attention. Continuing on the romantic, though less bloody, side of cinema comes the film Beautiful Creatures, which has a unique twist to it that may also serve as another happy medium between chick flick enthusiasts and action mongers. It revolves around a teenager named Lena who raises eyebrows among her classmates because she is a caster. This means she has special powers that allow her to cast lightning bolts, change the weather, and create illusions. She catches the eye of one of her classmates named Ethan, who is not put off and intimidated by her magical aura and actually falls in love with her. Lena is at a pivotal point in her life, however, and when she turns 16, she will determine whether she becomes a good light caster or an evil dark caster. Because of this, fellow casters, some from her own family, are waging war for the direction of her conversion. In light of all this, she at first tries to keep Ethan out of danger and out of her life, but his persistence may cost him his own life in this magical, dark, romantic fantasy. This has been Take It or Leave It. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Chad. West Virginia schools are preparing students for a new standardized test. In 2014, West Virginia will replace the WEST test with the Smarter Balanced Assessment. West Virginia is one of 45 states adopting the new exam. This allows a more equal curriculum across the nation, as well as an easier way to compare students. The WEST test focused on briefly covering a little bit of everything, while the Smarter Balanced Assessment focuses more on depth of understanding. The Associate Superintendent for the State Department of Education's Divisions of Learning and Teaching said, "The content is much more rigorous in that students don't just need to know all of the basic skills, but instead need to be able to apply those skills. The new test will be taken on the computer, allowing a more specific assessment of each student's performance. The test is adaptive, meaning students will be taken to a different level depending if they answer the previous question right or wrong. The computerized test produces results more quickly and measures growth over time. This assessment is just another way West Virginia is trying to better prepare students for college, the workforce, and align with the Common Core standards." Now with the CU Minute, here's Bailey Gillespie.
A group of students is working together to reestablish the Black Student Union on Concord's campus. The nonprofit organization, which used to be active on campus, has slowly gone dormant over the years. James Riley, the student who is leading the efforts to bring the BSU back to Concord, says, quote, "We want to provide leadership for young minority groups that come to Concord so that they feel welcome," end quote. Riley says that the BSU has made plans for the semester to honor the first African-American student to attend Concord and bring him to the university. The BSU meets every Thursday at 6:30 in room 320 of the administration building. Governor Earl Ray Tomblin announces his State of the State address on Wednesday that higher education in West Virginia will be experiencing a budget cut of 7.5%. In order to counteract the decrease, Concord University is looking at closing Sarvey Hall for the 2013 through 2014 year. The building, which currently houses around 84 students, would still be heated and maintained so that it could be opened if necessary. Rick Dillon, the Vice President of Administration and Associate Dean of Students, says closing Sarvey is the school's smartest plan of action at the moment. He says that, quote, "because our numbers have decreased over the last 2 years, there isn't any need to keep it open," end quote. Tau Kappa Epsilon is once again hosting the Polar Bear Plunge. Groups of people will test their strength against the cold as they jump into the freezing water. This plunge is intended for a good cause as well as bringing chilling fun to the campus. They will have a table at the Student Center during the week before the plunge to collect donations for the St. Jude Children's Hospital. The actual event will be held on March 2nd. Tau Kappa Epsilon invites all organizations and students to participate in this charitable cause. Back to you guys.
Thank you for watching WMLT News. I'm Richard Babbage.
And I'm Courtney Vanatter. Tune in again in 2 weeks.